are ready for the next presentation. I'd like to introduce the founder and CEO of Tech.
Hi, good morning. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm really concerned about the state of AI today. And I don't mean AI safety or security. While these are real concerns, from my experience as a leader of a company that helps enterprises with their innovation done right, I've had a front row seat to some of the most advanced implementations of AI in business. And it is from that point of view that I'm telling you AI is facing a much, much bigger problem today. And that is most AI projects are still stuck in a lab. And there's not been enough progress at helping it evolve to live up to its promise. Case in point, 91% of enterprises today are investing in AI. I think all of you might be, right? But only 26% of those projects have actually made it to production. And of those, less than 1% is actually generating ROI. Think about it. Even the most advanced AI today is a useful assistant at best. Let that sink in. The best AI today is a useful assistant. ChatGPT, Tesla FSD. Name your favorite AI. Is it more than a useful assistant? In spite of AI having been incepted in 1950 with Alan Turing's thought-provoking research, to answer the hypothesis, can machines think like humans? Can it? Well, as far back as 1986, Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of modern-day AI, had a major breakthrough. He was able to replicate the human neural network in a computer model and have it do some pretty amazing things. Keep in mind, compute was very small. But in that context, it showed human-like behavior. But fast forward to almost 30 years later, now all of a sudden, there's this big uprising of AI. It's everywhere. Why? Why all these years and all of a sudden, now there's all this hype? Well, that's because the macroeconomics. All of a sudden, well, it's not all of a sudden, but now we're feeling it. The demand for AI has gone up because of labor shortages. And labor shortage is not just a post-pandemic problem, right? Because Americans have had way fewer babies for decades now. Europeans, not doing any better. And the Asians, forget about it, right? In fact, I just heard an analyst say that last year, there were 500,000 more retired baby boomers than Gen Zs entering the workforce. And that's not going to get better because even if everybody went and had babies today and for years to come, those babies would take 20 to 25 years to come of age and enter the workforce. Now, you combine that with geopolitical problems, post-pandemic, supply chain issues, and whatnot, less labor, already inflation. And now you have ingredient inflation. Combine that, that makes for a perfect storm, requiring a technology, a solution that can match human intelligence. So, on the supply side, well, it's not like people haven't tried. Like I said earlier, they've tried for decades and decades. But all of a sudden, November 2022, ChatGPT 3.0 happened. And all it did, it's just a useful assistant, but all it did, it revived everybody's hope that AI can do way better outside of the lab. Gave them a little glimpse of what AI can do to match human intelligence. Because make no mistakes, everything that could have been automated with traditional software I guarantee you is being automated. And most of you here are responsible for that, right? The only things have not been automated is because the technology couldn't match human intelligence, and those are the kind of jobs that are left today. Now, ChatGPT didn't just happen in a vacuum. There's obviously been some technological and scientific breakthroughs in the last 5 to 10 years, and that's what's led to its success and other successes you're hearing about today. For example, the proliferation of the cloud, the advancement of GPUs, and all these buzzwords you hear from your experts, deep learning and supervised, unsupervised learning, ML ops and whatnot. Well, those aren't just buzzwords. Those are some of the most remarkable advancement in the space of AI that we've seen. But yet, AI is still not delivering on its promise. So why is that? That's because there's a secret ingredient that's been missing from the equation. And today, I'm going to reveal that secret ingredient. But before I can tell you what got me from there to up here today as an AI thought leader, I need to tell you about where it started. Back in 2018, I had this dream of the world's first completely touch-free, door-opening robot, okay? And around this time, I was also building my company, Techolution. I was actually a tech leader in the corporate world for almost 15 years before I took the plunge. And fortunately, we were starting to gain a reputation for being one of the leaders in innovation done right, because we did it at a fixed price, right? But around this time, I came up with this crazy obsession to build a robot. We've never done hardware, fully digital, and it had to be small battery operated, it had to be powered by AI, and my engineers said, "You're crazy." But I am, because if I wasn't crazy, I wouldn't leave my cushy corporate job to start a business. So, fast forward to 2020, millions of dollars later, I thought the hardware was going to be hard, because we didn't know hardware. But as it turns out, AI, which I thought was just another flavor of software, because I've done that since 18 years old, turned out to be way harder. And that AI didn't perform, even though we hired some of the best ML engineers and data scientists at the time. We even went on to take customer projects to build custom AI for enterprises. And it was all failing, right? So now being backed in a corner with money on the line and embarrassment, it was time for me to roll up my sleeves and take on Mission Impossible. I got back in the engineering. It was a lot of fun. I missed it. But that's when I discovered the secret ingredient of AI. And since then, we went on to deliver so many success stories, AI wins for real customers outside of the lab, in the real world. And for today, my favorite one of those that I'm going to tell you about is a large retailer, a big convenience store chain in the United States. Around the pandemic, they came to us and said, "We have massive labor shortages, ingredient inflation. What can you do with AI?" Well, the only solution was to manage inventory tighter and reduce waste. So we got to work, built some custom computer vision AI cameras with their grab-and-go food warmers, because that's where most of the waste was happening. And after a lot of struggle, 6 months later, we actually managed to deliver our breakthrough. This is frankly when our breakthrough happened, and it not only increased their sale at the store by 3%, right, small number, but it reduced food wastage by 70%, reduced cost by 70% for that product line, and helped them achieve their ESG goals, because less wastage, better for the environment. Now, if that's too good to believe, don't take my word. Don't even take the word of the executives that champion this, because they like us, right? Why don't we hear from the store employees?
8 weeks has really been working effectively, and looking at our stores percentage, and it's been cut in half, and I'm shocked by how effective it's actually been. I was turned from a gallery for a little while.
This is totally ad hoc. As you can see, it was a very unprofessional video, but it was amazing. Now, all of this talk about failure reminds me of a quote in my book, no pun intended, Labor of Love. I realized that writing a book, 3 years after I signed up to do it, is way harder than anything I've done with technology or AI or even kids, right? But I'm grateful for all the failures that we had with AI earlier because that's what taught me the lessons I know today. And then I took on this year because we had so much secret knowledge that was working in the real world. I took on something I said I will never do again, right? And that is write another book that's coming out next spring, AI Done Right. So this is where I captured all those lessons, what to do, what not to do, at least from my perspective, that helped us get where we are. And today I'm going to give you a little preview of the 5 secrets that will help you make your leap from lab-grade AI to real-world AI. All right, let's get into it. Secret number 1. There's more hype around AI today than reality. And when in doubt, always remember that rule, okay? So, and this became very apparent when I was struggling with AI, so I said, let me go get my hands on the best AI on the planet at the time. It was pre-ChatGPT, the Tesla full self-driving. Waited for a year, paid a bomb for it, and I put my hands on it, and I realized there's nothing full self-driving about it. It's a driver's assistant at best. And then it helped me also understand that there is no general purpose AI that is going to solve anybody's problem out of the box, right? And why is that? Well, first, if anybody comes to you, even if some of my guys come to you and say, we have AI that will solve your problem out of the box, just don't believe it because it's not true. It does not exist, right? So any SaaS AI or large language model trained with billions of data sets and billions of dollars, it can get you 80% there of solving human-like problems. But for it to have business value for your business, you need to still solve for that 20% fine-tuning, customization, right? And that is still very hard today. So what to do? That leads to secret number 2. First of all, just focus on very specific use cases for your business. And this is where success and failure begins with AI. You pick the right use case, you set yourself for success. You pick the wrong one, good luck. You better be big tech with a lot of money to throw away, right? So do not focus on general purpose AI, focus on specific purpose AI to solve problems for your business, and then you can build up on top of that success. For example, everybody's after customer service AI today because that's the lowest hanging fruit. So instead of trying to say, hey, I'm going to be a leader in my industry and I'm going to build the best customer service AI, and I'm going to go from brick and mortar to being a SaaS company, right? Don't do that. Start with finding a very specific, not even your business, function in your business, and try to get that customer service AI really, really good as your best human customer service, and then you build on top of that. Now, even that is hard. And in order to be able to do that, it's very important to assemble a holistic AI center of excellence. And I repeat, not just any AI center of excellence, a holistic AI center of excellence. And that is because selecting the right partner to guide you through this AI journey is very important. AI is novel, right? And the problem is there are so many AI center of excellence players who are offering it that come from a background of audit, general strategy, general IT services, and while they know a lot, they're thought leaders for sure, but they tend to gravitate towards what they know best, what not to do with AI, how to manage the risk. Now that's very important, don't get me wrong, but the trillion-dollar question today for most brick-and-mortar traditional enterprises is, what do I do with AI? Where do I get started, right? And that is why it's so important to pick a partner that's not just a thought leader, but a living leader of AI. And with that said, we have actually, based on all of the successes we had in the real world, we've crafted, based on demand, a holistic AI center of excellence that's based on 3 key pillars. So I'm not saying you should go with us for your AI Center of Excellence. Wherever you go, just make sure they're offering those 3 key pillars. They have to be balanced. Number 1, what to build. Very important. Picking the right use cases, prioritizing the right use cases, that is a science in itself. And that's why we created a roadshow. We brought it here all the way from New Jersey to Miami because it sparks imagination, right, of what's possible, and it's just pretty cool. It's worked really well. And when you know what to do, then you need to focus on how to do it. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Beyond your traditional data science and machine learning, because you all have been doing that forever, probably because back then, when you hired for those skills, it was for advanced analytics. And that's important. But the need for today is full-blown automation because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. And of course, we should not forget about managing the risk of AI. It's new. It's going to introduce new problems. But it's no different from the internet, computers, mobile. And you've done a pretty good job managing that. So start with what to build, picking the right use cases, and how to do it right. How to do it right, for example, right? Most companies, AI Center of Excellence is a machine learning practice, a data science practice. Well, that's not enough. From our experience, that's what got us in trouble, because AI is not data science. It's not machine learning. There's a very important skills you need, but you need a lot more than that if you want to go beyond the lab to the real world. And from our experience, doing the same thing again and again, according to Albert Einstein, and expecting different results is insanity. I'm crazy, but I'm not insane. So do the right thing beyond that. For example, what we actually suggest is that your core AI Center of Excellence team should be made up of these skills from our experience. And that will lead to success, right? And that will make a little bit more sense in a moment. So, holistic AI Center of Excellence can be very powerful. But you shouldn't even get started until you understand this fundamental principle of AI. And there are secret number 4 is there are 4 categories of AI. The first one is lab-grade AI. I'm not here to bash it because you have to start there, just like we all started in school, university. Every AI has to start the journey in the lab. And then, as quickly as you can become a useful assistant, that's where the secret sauce is. And that leads you, if done right, to real-world AI. This is where your AI is not fully autonomous, but let's say it's 80% autonomous, with a relationship with the human expert. When built right, you already saved 80% of productivity, right? Going for 100% should never be done in one shot. And this is where most people go wrong. And you do that right with certain other principles that I will introduce in a moment. That's when you get to the 4th and final category of AI, the holy grail of AI, autonomous grade AI. All right, so the number of iterations for any given skill, whether you're teaching it how to do plumbing, electrical inspection, inventory management, or heart surgery, is fixed. Because the AI goes out of the lab, just like a human apprentice, then they have to be exposed to real-world scenarios. They have to get corrected, reinforced by an expert. Those iterations are fixed depending on the job. The thing that's in your control is the speed and effectiveness at which you go through those iterations. Right now, it's months, for some weeks, for some days, and you add it up. If it's 100 months is a lot of time. Most people can't afford to go through that. And how you accelerate through this depends on tooling, teams. We have our own accelerators. I'm sure there are other accelerators out there to help you go really fast. But the accelerator should be based on the 5th secret, which is a secret ingredient, and that is RLEF. Anybody heard of RLEF before? And what's the EF? All right, I'll tell you. Reinforcement learning with expert feedback. Okay? Now, who's been talking about that recently? Greg Brockman, co-founder of ChatGPT, OpenAI, when asked, he didn't say those exact words because he hasn't met me yet, but he said something similar, right? And they, I believe, coined the term RLHF, reinforcement learning with human feedback. And from my experience, I evolved it to expert feedback. Because remember, one of the foundational principles of computer science, garbage in, garbage out. So human feedback is not enough. You need expert feedback. And that's a whole science and art on how you do that. So to explain that, let me take you through those 4 stages and how that relates to RLEF. So all AI, as I said, begins in the lab. You have to start there. Expose it to your data set. It's the equivalent of reading books, doing lab projects, and then as soon, as fast as it gets out there, right? Apprenticing, if you will, with the expert feedback, with the human expert. And don't expect the human expert to do Python or be technical. If, let's say it's a doctor, they're not interested, they don't have time for that. So you have to build that relationship by offering them something super useful. This is where user experience and product ownership comes into play, right? And those who get this right, this is the rite of passage. Those who make it on the other side will make it to real-world AI. Now, like I said, it's operating very, very independently, but not fully independently. You still need the human expert. And the key is, how do you reduce that dependency and stress on the expert? And the expert is not an engineer. It's the human that's doing the job in the field. How do you get them to adopt that? How do you get them to want to give it feedback and correct it? That's the key. And there's a core principle that I've learned that I call AI integrity awareness, right? AI, I'm sure you've heard data scientists say, hey, my AI is X accurate, right? Let's say 80%. And that's what's needed in your field, right? But one of the fundamental problems with accuracy is what happens when the 20% of the time it's not accurate, right? A good, well-trained human with a little bit of humility and ethics would say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure. Let me get a second opinion. But by default, the nature of AI will say, I'm 100% confident and say I'm right when it's totally wrong. And building integrity awareness in your AI is a fundamental principle to be able to get to the next level. In fact, to even be able to operate in the real world. Because if 20% of the time when it's wrong, it knows and it says, human, I need your opinion. Now it's pretty autonomous. If you can't trust that it will say, I'm super confident, even though when it's wrong, then it's useless, right? So that's the key to get here. And when you build that enough, that iteration, then the human expert can go play golf, retire, whatever they want, right? And as a business, you've achieved the next level of profitability, okay? Now at this point, the only thing you have to be worried about is AI singularity. Because AI cannot replace your job. Other people's jobs, okay. But yours, mine must be protected, right? So, but we're very far from that, so you don't need to worry about that. Now I'd like to invite on stage my colleague, Brent Shore, to talk to you about the top 5 use cases that we see trending in enterprises in 2024 and 2025. Brent?
Hello. All right, thanks, Love. And I'm also going to have Gianni come on with me. Hi, everyone. My name is Brent Shore. I'm our Director of Cloud and AI Solutions for Techolution. I'm going to try to insert a little fun, show some fun videos, explain to you why we have this robot on stage with us, and hopefully show you some cool things along the way. We're going to go through the top 5 use cases that we see, again, customers asking us for custom-built solutions around AI. Number 1, Enterprise GPT. So this is not just a couple API calls into OpenAI or anything like that. Customers are asking for purpose-built solutions for internal users, business users. How do I engage with my data? How do I have a more conversational-like experience? What's the next generation of experiences I want to empower with my people internally? How do I ask questions and make sense of the data? I'll give you an example of this. At Techolution, our entire HR infrastructure runs with an enterprise GPT-style front end, so we could ask questions of it. No more managing wikis and things like that. Users could ask questions. How many vacation days do I have? What's the policy for this? Who could approve this? Budget approvals, funding approvals, all that sort of stuff that's documented, we can understand and give your users a much better interface, a much better engagement, and how they engage with your organizational data. To have a little fun, Gianni's going to show us live how easily you could build an enterprise GPT. And I think I have to hold the microphone for him.
Hey guys, so my name's Gianni. I'm a customer engineer at Techolution, and I specialize in our AI practice. So I'm hoping that you guys like demo. Who doesn't like live demos, right? So really our goal here is to make it as easy as possible for our customers to leverage state-of-the-art generative technology, from fine-tuning to prompt engineering and caching and speed-ups and all that. So here's our interface. It's really a 4-step process. It's pretty easy. What we do here is, I'll show you, as Bren mentioned, our HR infrastructure. What we do here is give the AI a persona, follow the form instructions, right? So that's our version of prompt engineering. We pick a LLM provider, right? So whether that's OpenAI or Anthropic from AWS or Palm 2 from GCP. And then we point it at data sources and have our crawler index those data sources and upsert them into the model, right? So this is also multimodal, so it's unstructured or structured data, images, audio. It can index almost every piece of data that's not binary data, right? And then the output of this is a fully functional conversational experience. And this is our, let me try to see if I can get to it. So what do you do? This is our HR bot. Very good. I'll front load it with another prompt. What is our location? So it has a contextual understanding of what my prompt is, and then pulls up relevant information from our vector database, and then inserts that and injects it into an LLM during that conversational phase. So that being said, back to you, Brett.
Thanks. So then again, thinking about, thank you, I appreciate it. He appreciates it more. Thinking about how you engage with your new users, your millennials, your Gen Zs, giving them a more new age kind of feedback of how they engage with your internal tech. Use case number 4, customer engagement AI, what we sometimes call the chatbot killer. But thinking about what does customer service look like in the future? For a lot of organizations, customer service is still one of the biggest costs that they have, and it's also a front line for how you engage with your customers. So basically thinking about how you could train AI from your best customer service agents, your experts that are out in the field. Thinking about how you they could train an AI model. It kind of go through an iterative process where first you have your customer service people responding to your customers the way you typically do, and the AI is learning. It's picking up information, it's understanding the context, it's understanding the questions that are being asked, things like that. Then you kind of can advance to a stage where now the AI becomes the useful assistant to the customer service person. So as the customer service is getting questions, they could kind of go over, ask the AI, get some real-time feedback. This is kind of that useful assistant stage. But the real holy grail of this is where you get to now the AI takes the lead in the customer engagements, and it's really just only has to ask the expert when it's got low confidence in the response that it's giving. So thinking about that model where the expert could almost ultimately detach from the process. So again, not just your generic chatbot, a more realistic, lifelike, language-based way to engage with your customers, have customer service people engage with your customers, and how you can have AI is now more of a front end to your customers as well. There's applications for this along like e-commerce and retail as well. But in e-commerce, meeting your customers where they are, not just your generic search feature on a website maybe, but again, how do they engage? How could they ask more intelligent questions about your products, your services, whatever it may be, and having the AI give responses, recommend products, recommend solutions. Again, thinking about the next wave of customer experiences and meeting your customer where they are. Number 3, tech stack modernization AI. So obviously a lot of organizations have legacy code bases, legacy products, things like that. There's a problem with that. Getting those things modernized are often not the projects that get funded. Take a lot of time, take a lot of effort, and those are usually the things that just kind of stay put and become a little bit of a drag. So we have customers asking us a lot about using AI for things like code conversion and things like language modernization, tech modernization, things like that. So think about it more broader than what you're seeing here, right? So being able to take a line of code from one language, legacy language, output it in another language, we've maybe seen that before. That's all good and great. How do you have your experts give feedback, vote on it, things like that? But how about traversing a whole entire product? How about understanding all the different lines of code that go into a product, being able to understand that and write it at a much bigger level? So this is a very real use case. Again, we have customers asking us about all different languages. How do you do tech stack modernization, write new lines of code, write unit tests, all sorts of things like that. And again, now you just have your experts there to give feedback as opposed to doing the whole entire process. All right, number 2. Physical labor AI with vision. And here's where we're going to probably have the most fun today. So thinking about robotics in an industrial area. We're an organization that, again, customers approach us to solve complex, hard, innovative problems. There's been robotics in manufacturing for a long time. But how do you make your robotics more intelligent? How do you use AI? How do you give them a understanding of the real world with cameras, computer vision, and things like that? And how do you build more holistic solutions around computer vision, around robotics, and think about the impacts to the industrial manufacturing retail space? So what we have here is a cobot, and I think Gianni's going to have some fun with it.
Okay, so I front-loaded it with what you have in stock, right? So this is the intersection of computer vision, robotics, and natural language. What we're doing is controlling the robot with natural language, and we're doing some fancy stuff in terms of plucking out the relevant arguments and then calling hardware drivers. So right now, Alice is opening up the fridge. We're also using reinforcement learning, so Alice actually learns from her environment, right? So it could be a different type of fridge, it could be a swapping of the ordering of the cans, and Alice will understand her environment using natural language and vision transformers, if you guys are interested in that. So.
Yeah, and then back to one of the use cases we talked about, like the enterprise GPT kind of front end. I'd love to point out that, like, you could have now a natural language way in which you interact with robots, in which you interact with your supply chain and with your machines. Yep.
So what she's doing right now is taking an image of the refrigerator and then throughout an ensemble of computer vision networks, understanding where the placement is, the depth perception of where the can is so that she can grab it, and then what cans are in stock. All right, there you go. All right, so she took an image, she processed it, and then now she can see that there's a Coke, a limoncello, a Diet Coke, and a Canada Dry, right? So I'll talk to it in natural language. I'm in Miami, what drink would you recommend? She's gonna parse that and understand, like contextually, like, you know, I'm in Miami, it's probably hot, and she's gonna pull out a recommendation here. Okay. And so the practical application here is using LLM as a kernel for larger systems, right? So being able to call hardware drivers or being able to make an API call or query a database. So she's processing. There you go. And then now she's going to grab the limoncello.
So that's it. She's been sitting there all day waiting to do that. But yeah, great point up. I love. Think about all the different use cases in industrial situations. And then go back to, and then one final use case we have a lot of organizations talking to us about is autonomous inventory AI. A simple way to think about this is like Amazon Go for inventory internal use cases. For example, again, how could you bring computer vision and all these things together if you're in a medical supply room, taking things off the shelf, being able to automatically understand inventory, understand what's left, understand who took it, the applications, why they took it. There's a lot of compliance and stuff that this would help automate, a lot of data and all that kind of stuff that this would help automate. So again, a lot of customers now really starting to think about the blending of the digital worlds, the real world, the physical world, and how AI comes to that. And so again, kind of mentioning what Love was talking about, we encourage organizations to think about custom-built solutions for your organization, your use case, and that's where we see organizations having the most success with AI, and these 5 use cases are the things we're being asked about the most right now. So with that, I hope you had a little fun. I hope you saw some use cases. I'm going to turn it back to Love.
All right. So there's only one question that remains. What happened to my pet project, the Doorbot? Why don't we hear from its very first customer directly?
Do you like the robot?
Yeah, he's a friendly robot. Because he's good. You're annoying.
That's priceless. It's my little one, a year and a half ago. And the reason why he's sitting on the chair is because ever since he was born, we had these vacuum robots at home. And he used to be very afraid of them. And then he would say, stop, go, and he wouldn't listen. So when he came here, first time to experience this, he's like, oh, I'm afraid of robots. He went on the chair. He could barely talk. I couldn't pay him to say that because he doesn't know what money is, right? And when he saw it, he was like, oh, it listens to me, friendly robot, right? I didn't even know he knew how to say that, but that was priceless. So every few months, fads come and go in technology, okay? And every few years, we get to see meaningful evolution. But only once or twice in one's lifetime, we get to see truly game-changing, disruptive technology that's going to change life as we know it. And right now, the hype of AI is starting to feel like 1999, when computers and the internet were coming to the world or for the world. And 5-10 years later, everything changed, right? And it's feeling very much like that. And I'm willing to bet you, 5 years from now, should we meet again here at this conference, it's going to look very different. You know, very different. So, the question is, now that you know what to do, what not to do with AI, are you going to wait and watch what happens and get disrupted? Or are you actually going to go back home, roll up your sleeves, make your move, and deliver real-world AI one sprint at a time for your business? Because only those who make their move now and get AI done right are going to completely accelerate their career growth or their way to retirement, going to bring the next level of profitability for their businesses. And most importantly, for me, they're going to get to influence what the future of the world with AI looks like, so we can leave a better version of the future for the next generation. So with that, let's do AI right. Thank you.